Well, today is finally the day. I've got some free time on my hands here to work on the good old Duramax. I've talked about it in previous videos. It has a ABS light that keeps coming on and going off, and I'll do a different video kind of my diagnosis on that. But basically, I've traced it down to what I believe to be one of the ABS wheel speed sensors. So like I say, I finally just had some time today to, it's warm enough, I can work in the shop. Wife and kid is gone, so it's time to play mechanic. So we're gonna pull the Duramax in the shop here, and I'm gonna show you how to tear this thing apart. Like I say, I've traced it down to the ABS wheel speed sensor, and this may not be a complete repair by the end of the video, but I did want to share it with you guys because a lot of people out there, whenever they have that ABS light coming on and going off randomly, independent of the brake light, they immediately say, oh, replace the ABS wheel speed sensor. And while you can do that, and it's probably ultimately the easier long-term fix, you can actually take that wheel speed sensor off, clean it up sometimes, and make it work. So since I've got some free time, that's what I'm gonna try to do, fix it on the cheap without having to buy a new one. And plus, if I can make something work for free, I'm gonna try it. So I wanna share this video with you guys in case you might run into the same thing. Get an idea of at least how to tear it apart. That way, even if you have to buy an ABS wheel speed sensor, you'll know how to do the job. So let's go ahead and pull it in the shop and get started. All right, here we go. Oh, better unlock it first. So I've been driving the Duramax a fair amount here lately. We've had a few days of bad weather here. So I tend to drive this over my 2014 over there. Let's let those glow plugs cycle there. All right. Yeah, good old Duramax. It's got some new batteries. She's nice and fresh. And I'm suspicioning that it's on the passenger side. So that's the side I'm gonna try to clean up today. That's the only side I think I'm gonna have time for. Yep, you can hear it, there it is. So I'm gonna clean up the passenger side today. Hopefully that fixes it. If not, same process for the driver's side. So let's get started. I think I've got enough room here with my mower. I keep it stored in the shop for the winter time. So first thing that we're gonna do is I'm gonna take the front wheel off here. So I'm gonna get this thing, I'm gonna get the cover taken off, and then we're going to break the lugs loose and then ultimately raise the truck on this side. That way we can pull the caliper off. So that's the first thing I'm gonna do. All right, you can see we got the cap off and over there. I'm just kind of lining things up this direction as we break them loose here. That is one of my favorite tools to break the lugs loose, my impact here. If you guys don't have one of these, Milwaukee Fuel Impact, I'm not paid to say this by Milwaukee or anything, but it works great. It makes quick work of this. All right, you can see we got the wheel off, and I've got multiple jack stands under there because I don't trust this little jack here just with this big old pickup. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna jump on the back side, and I believe there are two spots where the caliper connects, right up here and one at the bottom that are 18 millimeter. We're gonna try to break those loose. They're pretty dirty, so I might hit them with some PB Blaster or something, but basically I want to break those loose so we can get this caliper up off here, and then that way we can remove the actual rotor, because the ABS sensor runs right down behind in there. So let's see if we can do it. Okay, I got both of them off. And slight correction to what I said earlier. The two bolts that hold the caliper on are actually 22 millimeter, at least on a 3/4 ton. My half ton, I want to say they were 18 on that, guys. So somebody in the comments correct me if I'm wrong. But nonetheless, I got them off. Now what's going to happen is if your rotor, thankfully for me, is loose, sometimes these get rusted and seized on here. So you got to persuade them a little bit with a hammer or something to try to get them off. Luckily, mine's pretty loose, so what I did is I screwed one of these lugs back on just to keep the rotor from walking off while I pulled the caliper off. But now what I'm gonna do is this caliper is literally just gonna pull up and off here. Watch your lines on the back, your brake lines and everything, and I'm just gonna set it up in here. You can put a bungee cord or a zip tie or something to keep it from falling down on you while you're working, because that wouldn't be fun, you know, for your safety or the truck's reliability. But nonetheless, I'm just gonna play it real safe, try to set it up here, and see if we can get this rotor off. All right, guys, we're getting really close here. I have got caliper up out of the way, rotor off, got me a little cleaning cloth. I'm gonna grab now, I thought I had, kicked my light over. Thought I had some brake cleaner. I don't, so I'm just going to use a little bit of carb cleaner. This will probably work just fine for what we're doing. But now I'm going to take this shop rag, and if I can find some sandpaper, I might do that to kind of clean up this connection. But the idea is that we're wanting to clean up this ABS connection. I was really lucky. You can see this is it right here. Got a 5mm Allen on the end here. It was kind of rusty. I was afraid this might strip on me. You may run into that, but I didn't. Hit it with a little PB blaster. You can use whatever you want though. And then just get this seated down in there really good and straight on, guys. That way you don't risk stripping it. And just unscrew her. And then once that's out, we should be able to get to work on it. Sorry, I'm trying to do this one-handed. That's why I've shot the actual process off camera. You guys get what I'm doing here. But once this guy's out, let's see if we can pull it out now. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, we'll clean that up before we put it back in. But now that that guy's out, we should be able to pull up on this speed sensor. You can see she's pretty dirty. Pull up on the speed sensor, and out it comes. You can see it's pretty dirty, guys. So the idea now is to clean all this up. Like this down in here, I'm gonna wipe some of this gunk away. And actually that looks surprisingly clean there, but this does not. So you can see this little dude here, you can pull off. It's magnetic. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my hands cleaned up. I'm gonna get this cleaned up. And I'm gonna clean this up best I can with my carb cleaner, preferably brake cleaner if you can. I don't know, it's gonna make a huge difference. But don't be afraid, you can spray this right on there. Get things nice and clean. Just like so. Same goes for this guy here. And then let's just wipe it down. Make it look good and new if we can. Whew, that is nasty in there. All right, I'm gonna clean this up and I'll come back at you whenever we're done. Okay guys, that's how she's looking after we've got done here. Got the little magnetic ring here. And I'll just scuff this up a little bit with some old sandpaper I had here, as well as that down in there. And then got this cleaned up with my parts cleaner. You can see another thing you might check for is see if this is even across. If you have very much rust buildup, it can bend this plastic, but the idea is you want this perfectly straight down in there as much as you can with the magnet and everything else on, because what happens is rust and gunk builds up under this. If it gets it off ever so slightly, that's whenever you get that ABS issue. Or at this point, had you bought the new wheel speed sensor, which we may still have to do, I don't know yet, you would just, trace this line up to where it goes, unplug it, plug the new one in, and put it back together. But now, since we don't have that, we're just going to put this guy back together. So I'm going to put the magnet back on. Oh yeah, before we do button this all back up together, so just as I was telling you guys, I went ahead and I hit this with some sandpaper. Obviously you can see we've got some bare metal here. So what you can do to keep this from flash rusting again is hit it with some spray paint. Now, believe it or not, during the move, I can't find any of my spray paint except for what my wife has inside. So our choices, fellas, are a clear matte finish or a gosh, what is this? I don't know. It looks like a Tiffany blue, basically. Thought you guys might get a kick out of that. So thanks, Ashley. We're rating your spray paint here. So what color would you guys pick? Let me know down in the comments. I think just because she'll get a kick out of it, I'm going to do this color. So I'm just going to shake it up real quick. Just like that. Okay, now it's just the reverse procedure. I've just installed the new cleaned ABS sensor. You can see it looks a whole lot better than what it did. Even cleaned this little bolt up a little bit. So, and like I say, I waited for this to dry just a little bit. So I got that tightened down. I don't have torque specs on that. But now all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the hub on here. We're gonna put the caliper back on, put the two caliper bolts in, top and bottom right here, then put the wheel on, and you can rinse and repeat for the other side. I'm suspicioning that it's this side that's causing us the issues. So I'm gonna drive it around like this for a while. If I find that this is not the issue, I'll just rinse and repeat on the other side. Well, it took me just a little break. Jacket came off, it's getting kind of warm, which like I say, is kind of why I picked this day, so it's not freezing out here, even though I've got me a little space heater now. But nonetheless, so what I've done since we last talked. Put the rotor back on. I put one of these lugs back on there to keep it from walking. Put the caliper on. You kind of got to push those brake pads on each side. That way it'll fit down on there. Put the 2 caliper bolts, upper and lower, on. I don't have torque specs on those guys. I apologize, but I got them tight enough that I know they're not going anywhere. But wheel lugs is something I always try to do to spec. And I had to actually look it up for this truck because it's been a long time since I've put that lift kit on, and I can't remember what the specs were, but it looks like they're 140. So I've got my Harbor Freight Special here, which it maxes out at 150. And we're just going to torque these guys down. All right, guys, just like that, the deed is... All right, guys, just like that, the deed is done. So I did forget to mention before I actually torqued the lugs to spec and put the cap back on, I did go ahead and lower the jack and took the jack stands out. Because if you try to torque this whenever the wheel's up in the air, it's going to want to spin on you. So drop that, got those torqued down. So now's the moment of truth. I'm going to go drive this thing around, see if that fixed the issue or not. And I'll come back and let you know if we got another video in the future or if we got it fixed. Guys, I just want to say thanks for taking the time to watch my video here. I sure hope that it helps some of you guys out that may be having issues with the ABS light. And like I say, I'll do a kind of diagnostic video on that in the future, because I'm just a weekend warrior of a mechanic. I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't have expensive scan tools to scan these things and see exactly which ABS wheel speed sensor it is or anything like that. So that's why I've just kind of read up on some forums, watched some videos, and determined that was my issue. Guys, if the video did help you out at all, and if you decide you need some wheel speed sensors, I'm going to leave a link down below to Amazon that does help the channel monetarily, so I can continue fixing up this truck, building it out once other house sells. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to show your support by subscribing and leaving a like on this video. It goes a long ways, helps me out, and we've got lots of other videos on both this truck right here, just simple maintenance items, which we need to do quite a bit too. We need to do transmission fluid, coolant, things like that. And then we've got the 2014 over there, which we've pretty much done all regular maintenance videos on that. So we got lots of great content. Appreciate you guys checking that out. All right, guys, once again, thanks again for watching the video. And until next time, take care.